Hey, what's up everybody? It's Justin with Sillage Scents. Today I have got 10 absolutely magical men's fragrances for you. Each one of these has got something that will just grab you, maybe in the opening, the dry down, or maybe even in the texture of the fragrance as it hangs in the air. So these are my list of top 10 absolutely mesmerizing men's fragrances. So as we get ready to jump into the video, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And also let me know down in the comments, what would be your picks for a list like this? I'd love to read about those and interact with you a little bit in the comments. All right, so here we go. First off, I'm going to mention one that is a brand new pickup, and this is unbelievable because this is an incredibly accurate clone of Dior Homme Intense. I didn't even know that there was an accurate clone of DHI, but here it is. This is called KAYAAN Classic by WATANIAH. And this fragrance is going to blow your mind. I have Dior Homme Intense. I've been doing some testing over the last couple days, and what I'm finding is this one is super close. I mean, almost indistinguishable. Definitely 90+% similar, maybe 95+% similar. And this is a great performer. It performs better than Dior Homme Intense does on my skin. This is easily a 10-hour fragrance on my skin. And so this one is going to give you the same fragrance profile. You've got that beautiful iris, you've got the pear, the muskmellow, you've got all of that going on in the opening. And then as you go towards the dry down, you've got that sweetness, that sort of vanillic, woodsy sweetness in the dry down. The only difference I would say is the actual iris and DHI. There is something, just maybe the quality of the iris is a little bit higher. There's just a little something that does distinguish the iris note in DHI, but this one is so very close. Highly, highly recommend this fragrance. All right, the next one we'll go with. This is a blue fragrance that is a standout. I've got a couple blue fragrances that are absolute standouts among the sea of blue fragrances. I've got about 15 myself. This is definitely in my top 3. I'm talking about ROCHAS L'Homme. And so this one is a blue fragrance that has the normal, bright, sweet opening. This one actually has some orange and some pineapple in the opening, so a little sweeter than a lot of blue fragrances. But then once you get into the heart, you've got some juniper and geranium that give it a real minty quality. It's a very aromatic blue fragrance, specifically leaning a little towards a minty aromatic flair. And then the sweetness from those opening notes, as well as in the base, you've got some tonka bean. All around, it's a sweeter blue fragrance. It's not cloying, it's not overly sweet, but it's a sweeter blue fragrance with a beautiful minty aromatic heart. Very unique and a great, great fragrance. Works great all year round, works in the heat, even works in the winter. You definitely want to check that one out. All right, next up, I'm going to go with another one that is a clone, and this is a clone that got some hype when it came out, but I think it still deserves to be talked about because this is a killer clone of Parfums de Marly Pegasus. This is ARMAF Craze. And so if you know Pegasus, you know that it is a metallic almond vanilla fragrance. And so you've got this sort of metallic almond vibe that matches the bottle of the Parfums de Marly, which is kind of a shiny silver metal. But then you've got this vanilla that's kind of a powdery vanilla that mixes with that almond and that metallic vibe to give a very sort of mysterious, almost three-dimensional kind of fragrance. Something almost kind of magical, like this list is talking about. You almost can reach out and touch the texture of this fragrance. It reminds me of the snow. It reminds me of just a wonderful, winter day. Although I have actually worn it in the heat, and it's not overly sweet, so it can actually work, maybe up until mid 80s or so degrees Fahrenheit. So this is a great, great clone of Pegasus, and definitely one that I would recommend. All right. This is another blue fragrance. This is my favorite blue fragrance, although there have been some that have been contending for it lately. This one is just a standout. It's gotten a lot of love for good reason. This is Yves Saint Laurent Y EDP. And so this one is another blue fragrance that leans towards sweetness. You've got a beautiful sweet apple note in the opening, as well as some ginger. But then again, once you get into the heart, you've got an aromatic quality with this one that is absolutely incredible. You've got some juniper berries, you've got some sage. The sage note in this one is one of those three-dimensional notes. I mean, it's got so much body and texture, it's like you can reach out and touch it. So this is another blue fragrance that leans sweet with an aromatic heart. It's quite different from Rochas L'Homme. They don't smell alike at all, but it's similar in the way that it stands out from other blue fragrances because of a very high quality list of ingredients, and that aromatic heart and that sweetness just really make this one something special. Okay, next up, we're going to go with one that is a modern classic. I remember when this fragrance came out. I've gone through a number of bottles of the EDT and the EDP. It's been called the greatest date night fragrance ever made. And of course, I'm talking about Dolce & Gabbana, the One. And so this one, you've got a citrus and ginger in the opening. You've got some tobacco, you've got some amber. It's just a beautiful ambery tobacco, sweet, spicy. You've got some cardamom, sweet, spicy fragrance. It's not overly sweet though. I have many fragrances that are way more sweet, but this one is sweet in the way that a tobacco fragrance with some rich texture and a little spice and a little sweetness can just be so alluring. It'll really draw her in on a date night. This one has gotten hype since it came out for good reason. Cannot recommend this fragrance enough. I love the EDP as well, although they are pretty different in my opinion. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that is a clone of a Creed fragrance, Silver Mountain Water. This is ARMAF Club de Nuit Sillage. And so this one is, again, very sort of alluring, mystical, magical. You have a tea note, and you have something that's going to remind you of ink. They'll call it like an inky note. But it's that tea note that gives you this just beautiful, mysterious vibe. And then you've got some florals in this fragrance that mix with something that is a little bit incensey, a little bit smoky. And so in the opening, you've got that tea and that inky vibe that's just so magnetic in the way that someone will smell it and say, wow, what is that? And then as it dries down, and the dry down of this fragrance, this is a 12-hour fragrance on me. I know many have had that experience and many haven't, although I believe a lot of people go nose blind to this fragrance. But the ambroxan that is used in this fragrance is, it mimics ambergris in a very beautiful way, sort of a sweet, woodsy ambergris. So ink and tea, then florals and a little smokiness, and an ambroxan ambergris note that is just going to blow you away. This is an awesome fragrance, Club de Nuit Sillage. It is unique, and it's one that works all year round, but it really does shine in the spring and summer. Works great in the heat. All right, this is one I would not necessarily recommend for the heat, but it is just, again, kind of a modern classic at this point. So many people love this fragrance. Many complain about performance, but I get a good 7 hours out of this fragrance, and this is the new formulation. This is Carolina Herrera CH Men. This is basically leather and saffron and cardamom. It's a leather dominant fragrance with some saffron texture and a little bit of spice, a little bit of sweetness. There is a sugar note in this. There's also a grass note that I just barely detect. Apparently it was stronger in older formulations. You barely get the little grassiness in the opening of this fragrance mixing with that leathery saffron texture. It's just so unique. But just think leather with a little sugar and some spice, and you're going to get CH Men, an awesome leather fragrance. Highly recommend it. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that is shocking the value of this fragrance. You can get 100 ml for around $40, and this is one of the coolest summer fragrances, spring fragrances that I own. This is UOMO, Salvatore Ferragamo UOMO Casual Life. And so this is a summer gourmand. I have a few summer gourmands. This one has a tiramisu note that links it back to some of the other UOMO fragrances, but it also has a lemon and violet leaf that give it this incredible fresh ozonic feel. And that's sort of the body of the fragrance is, ozonic violet leaf with some lemon. And then especially mid and dry down, some of those sweeter notes come out. It's just absolutely magical, one that I don't think a ton of people own, but one that should get a lot more love. It is absolutely awesome. All right, two more. This next one is a clone that I tried to get for a long time, but I know Triple Traders has had this in stock lately. That's where I got mine. This is a clone of Stronger With You Absolutely, and it's a fantastic clone. This is Proud of You Absolute. And this is about an 8-hour fragrance, maybe even a little more. But what you're going to get is that sort of vanilla chestnut, Stronger With You sweetness that you might be familiar with. But then you have a boozy note from start to finish that flavors this fragrance all the way through. It's a good performer. It's got some good projection and sillage, and it lasts, again, easily 8 hours on my skin. And you can pick this up for low 30s if you find it at an online discounter. A fantastic clone of Stronger With You Absolutely. All right, last up, this is one that is another year-round fragrance. I would definitely categorize this as a blue fragrance, but it's unique because it's got some sweetness from orange, and it has a rhubarb note. I'm talking about Lacoste L'Homme Intense. And so this is like the Lacoste L'Homme fragrance, but it's just ramped up to 11. And so it's like a blue fragrance. Think something like Dylan Blue, but with orange in the opening and a rhubarb note that hangs through the entire life of the fragrance. Rhubarb can be loved or hated. I have a couple rhubarb fragrances, so it's very interesting. And that sweet orange really makes this a standout. Something very alluring that people are going to smell and say, that is really nice. What is that? That sweetness will draw them in. So a blue fragrance with some unique qualities, and this is another one you can get very inexpensive, $40 and less. So that has been 10 fragrances that I would say are just magical. There's something unique about each of them, something that will draw you in. And so consider checking these out. I think you'll like them. And let me know down in the comments, what would you add to the list? And again, please subscribe if you haven't done that yet. I've got videos coming out every couple days, and I hope you'll join us for the fragrance journey. I'm Justin. This has been Sillage Scents. I'll see you on the next one.